So today we're talking about the new SEO formula. And normally I would say here, ask your questions and stuff, but it's just me because I'm late today. So as I said, take your questions when Eric sends out the replay. Just respond to that, and they'll go to Jason, and he'll tell me. And I'm happy to answer them. So when we think about SEO, what we're really talking about here is what it takes to rank your site organically. And so that's when you look at a search result, you usually have the ads, then you have the maps, then you have organic, or results is what we call them. And so that's what we're talking about here today. This is all part of the model we talk about every time we do this, our accelerated growth model, which is there's various techniques that you use to drive leads. And then once you have those leads on your site, you want to find ways to maximize conversion, which means get them to take an action, which is call you so you can do an estimate for them. And then you look at the results of all of that and say, well, what can I do better? And that's optimizing results. And then you start over and you drive more leads, maximize the conversion, optimize more results. And that's the process that you need. And there's a bunch of stuff that goes into each one of those. And today we're just talking about driving leads through organic traffic. Okay. And it's all a part of this accelerated growth model, this digital dominance method. All it really is people look online in different ways, and you want them to find you in whichever way that they choose to look online. And so you got to engage in all these places because Google Ads clickers aren't the same as organic search clickers, aren't the same as the Google Maps clickers, which aren't the same as the Yelp searchers or the Facebook searchers. And so leads come in from all kinds of different places, and you want to go after as many of them as you can. And so what we'll cover today, the latest updates of the Google algorithm, we'll talk about that very briefly. And really, you want to ignore that stuff. Doesn't matter. It's important, but not to you. We'll maybe touch on things you put in place that could be hurting you now. And then how you optimize your website using the new SEO formula, which changes all the time. So it's really always the new SEO formula. And so why should you listen to me? I own Paving Marketers. We wrote the book Online Marketing for Paving Companies. We're a member of NEPA. And I've been doing this a long time. I've owned an agency for 13 years. Just been doing this a while. Got a ton of paving customers. And that's it. So does SEO still matter? And so when you look at these search results and you see a bunch of ads and you see the maps, SEO results are all the way down at the bottom here. Does it still matter? And really it does. But it's more competitive now than it used to be because these organic results still get 71% of the clicks, but those are divided between the maps and the top 2 organic results. So once you get out of like spot 2 and maybe spot 3, really is not driving a lot of click activity for you. And so, there are other things that I would do first. Number one thing is maps. And so if you haven't watched my maps presentation, I'd watch that one first. Number 2, I'd say ads. If you haven't watched the ads presentation, watch that one too. And once you get those 2 things going, that's when I would turn my attention to organic. Unless you can do work on them all at once, in which case, by all means, go for it. But if you have to prioritize things, I'd put organic at number 3. Okay. So yes, it still matters. And it's true. You can't rely on pay-per-click alone. But our data consistently shows for paving companies, about a third of the leads, a little bit more, come from maps. About a third come from Google Ads. And then about 20%, about 1 out of 5, come from organic. So it's enough to pay attention to. But you're going to get 2/3 of your leads from maps and PPC. So get those knocked out first. So why is SEO so important? I mean, you know this. And just think about how you shop for things. Even if you're going to go to a store, you search online first. All of these different things, maps, PPC, SEO, it all is just getting your potential customers' eyeballs on your website. That's ultimately what it boils down to, or just picking up the phone and calling you. So I said we talk a little bit about Google algorithms, and I will, but really only to say just ignore that stuff. And you probably do anyway. Most of the paving guys I talk to just they don't care. They don't care. They don't want to know this stuff. That's what they hire us for. So I totally get it. And I would just say you really don't. There's so many of them. They don't even advertise that they do them now unless they're really big. But they're changing the algorithms like every day. They're messing with this stuff all the time. So you'll hear people talk about Google algorithm updates. They matter, but you're never going to keep up with that stuff, nor should you. What it ultimately boils down to is there really is a fundamental way that you should be approaching your presence online. And if you just do those things, then the algorithms don't matter. Because what the algorithms are really, what they're trying to do is get the best possible experience for their customers who are the web searchers. Okay. So if you do the basic things right, it doesn't really matter what to do with the algorithm. If you try to game things, if you try to cheat, if you try to do some shady things, then yeah, algorithms are going to get you. But if you just do the basic stuff right, you'll be fine. So forget about the algorithms. It's a waste of time. We don't even pay attention to them. I mean, we do in some respects to just monitor for anything important, but I can't think of a recent algorithm change that has changed anything that we do. Because we already try to do the things that we think are right, and each algorithm change tends to confirm that. So when you're thinking about optimizing your site, there are a bunch of different categories of things that you can work on, and there are different SEOs that care about different things. You'll find technical SEOs who are really into like the nerdy hosting stuff and the indexing, and that stuff's fine. It's important. You'll find a lot of people are about on page, which is, when you get these SEO audits, so people send you get hammered with this stuff all the time. I do. Your audit is bad. That's just they're running on-page checks. Everybody's on-page SEO is bad because they just invent some metric to measure it against. And hey, look, your site's bad. It's nonsense, but people fall for it all the time. There are correct things to do with on-page, and they matter, but it's not the end-all be-all. Used to be way more important. Not so much anymore. Then you get the people who care about off-page link builders, and it matters, but less so all the time. The new thing, I'd say the new SEO formula, is user experience. That's what they care about, and these are the factors that really move the needle. And so you'll hear it referred to as core web vitals, and that encompasses a lot of technical things like page speed, which matters kind of, but not the way that you think it does. People will say, hey, what about your page speed? Page speed is not the issue. It's meaningful time to interaction. So you could have a horrible page speed, but if your least contentful paint and some of these other metrics are very fast, it doesn't matter, because what Google cares about is how quickly can the user interact with your website, because that's what they want to do. So that's what they measure. And so your page speed could be 25. If your least contentful paint is very fast, you'll be fine. So this is where these things get silly and not worth caring about. The other thing is EAT. It's also referred to as EEAT, which is really just boils down to expertise, authority, and trust. And so you want to use your website to establish that, one, you have expertise, that two, you're an authority to speak on these matters, and third, that you can be trusted. And there's various ways of doing that. But if you're a paving professional who can show that they've been paving for a number of years, and you have a track record of customers that you've done a good job for, you want to highlight that on your website, because that gives you experience, authority, and trust. That's it. Now, how you do that tactically makes a difference, but that's the bottom line is what this is about. Okay. This is a slide about local map ranking factors. I don't know why this is in here, because we don't care about that today. All I'll say about maps is organic can influence maps. How well your site is built, how well your site addresses these things does also impact how well you do in the maps. But maps are not the focus today, so I'm not going to get too into that. So when you talk about the new SEO formula, a lot of it is the same old stuff. you want to figure out what the most important keywords are based on your service. One that I find funny is some of you guys call it seal coding, 2 words. Other of you are seal coding, it's 1 word. And does it make a difference? No, because to Google, it's the same term. And so, don't worry too much about specific keywords. What matters is the keywords accurately describe your service and the location where you offer it. So, you don't want to rank necessarily for seal coating. You want to rank for seal coating in Pittsburgh or seal coating near Pittsburgh. So having, for a business like yours, location dependent keywords is really what matters. Okay. There are various tools that you can use to look at this, but none of them are good. And I'll tell you why. Because with local search keywords, the volumes are always low. And the data is just not accurate in these tools below a couple hundred. So if it says a search gets only 20 searches a month, who cares? If it's the right keyword, use it, because that keyword might convert at 50%. You just don't know. So ignore the volumes because they're inaccurate. They don't matter. The only way you get accurate keyword search volume from Google is by paying for it. So by running Google ads on specific keywords, you can see, how many impressions you can understand what the actual search volume is. Short of that, you don't get it. So ignore it. So focus on the right keywords with your service area. Build a great website. Have unique pages targeting those keywords. So don't have one page that covers all your services. That's a bad idea. You need a page for steel coating. You need a page for residential paving, or even more specifically, driveway paving. You need a page for commercial paving, or even break that up into parking lot paving, asphalt repair and maintenance, seal coating, crack filling. You can even split that one out for maintenance if you want. So have pages for each service that you do, and then have pages for the cities that you target. And you can build those in particular ways. There's many ways you can do it. We have a way that we like to do it. But as long as you do it, it should work well enough for you. You can argue about what to include on it. And it matters, but don't let wanting to make it exactly right stop you from doing it. Just do it. You need to optimize your website for user experience and the core web vitals, which is what that measures. So don't fuss about unimportant things. Build the best website you can, and make sure it's good for the user. Optimize for on-site optimization. That stuff's been pretty consistent over time. You can get really into the weeds. I mean, I don't want to get too advanced with this stuff. It does get complicated. There's lots of things to consider rather. Things like, your topical authority, which I think we'll talk about a little bit. NLP, keyword variation density. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, and it matters, and we measure it, and we do it. But for you, you're never going to do that stuff if you're doing it yourself. So just do the basics. You can, there's 8,000 articles in Google about on-site optimization with your header tags, your H1s, your H2s, your H3s, your titles. Get that stuff right. It's half the battle, more than half the battle. Build your authority for offsite optimization. That's building links. Still want to do that to some degree. And then track your results. Get a keyword tracker. There's 8 million of them. And just kind of keep an eye on how you're doing. That's it. That's SEO. You can talk about it for 15 more hours, but that's the bottom line. So now if you want a checklist of keywords, you can go to our site, grab the SEO checklist. This is a kind of a starting point for you. I'm sorry, if you want a checklist of what to do, go grab the checklist. I think we have a different one for keywords too, which I'm going to talk about next. So if I misspoke, the SEO checklist is just some things that you can do to work on your site. And then here at Stop for Questions, but I'm the only one here. I got no questions. So moving on to the paving keywords. These are some examples. Again, the focus is on your city plus the services that you do. So if you don't do stamped concrete, don't use that keyword, obviously. If you don't do concrete, if you don't do hardscapes, you don't do pavers, leave that stuff out. But these are kind of ones that we have found if you do that service, they are good keywords. So it's a good list to work from. And again, got every city in there. Now I will say this: if your city is unique, like say Cincinnati, I think there's only one, then you can just say Cincinnati stamped concrete. But if your city name is like Washington, and there's probably like 800 cities named Washington, then include the state. Washington, California, whatever, who knows. But if your state's, and if your city's not unique because you've Googled it before and you've had to add the state because it doesn't give you the right results, right? So if your city is not unique enough, add the state modifier. That's it. That's how you do keywords. Okay. And yes, we do have this list available on your website. So go to this link and grab it. And I'll stop at this point to just say, hey, we'd love to talk with you about this stuff. So if you want us to look at this with you and kind of dig in to see how you're doing against your competitors, go to our site, click on the schedule call button or whatever it says, and it'll take you to apply now, schedule a call with us. We'll create a great market audit for you and go through it and kind of tell you what things look like. All right. So a little bit about on-site optimization. I really addressed this before. Just get the title. I mean, if you do nothing else, get your keyword in your page title in your H1. Like I said, pages for each of your services. It's good to have multimedia in there, drone videos, stuff like that. What those do is it's interesting for the user, so they hang around longer. And Google measures that, like how long you stay on the page. Do you leave right away? So having a thing like a video or media increases dwell time, reduces bounce rate. And those are things that make Google happy, because if a customer comes to your site and doesn't leave right away and stays for a while, it means that searcher found what they were looking for. That was a good result for Google, so they're happy with that. Okay. Versus someone shows up and leaves right away, that means they didn't find what they were looking for. That's not good. I've already addressed a lot of the stuff. I'm not going to talk about that. So again, page speed. The thing that matters here is this LCP right in the middle here. Least contentful paint. And don't get me wrong, I mean, this is a site we did. It's fast, which is awesome. We love that. But I don't care if this is a B, if your least contentful paint is green. I don't. My web team does. They do a good job. I'm just saying I don't care. As an SEO, that's kind of what I do, or I did before I hired people to do it. It doesn't matter to me. But it matters to customers, so we make it good. But I look at this LCP because that's what impacts core web vitals. Okay. Just an example of showing up well in the maps. Not really relevant to what we're talking about here today. But a good user experience, good organic rankings does help you in some ways show up well in the maps. And so it does matter. And the good optimizations help with that too. So having good city service pages helps you show up well in maps. Having the right stuff in the title, the H1, good content, relevant content, makes all the difference. And you can see here pages for each service and city service pages. So everything I'm talking about, it's a customer site. We did it for them. We do it for you if you sign up with us. These are the stuff you need. I'm not going to talk about getting a 3-pack today, other than go watch my Google Maps webinar, get into a lot more detail there. But this on-page SEO is a part of it. So get that stuff right, get those areas served pages done, and it'll help your maps. Stop here for questions, but I still have none. So talk a little bit about off-page SEO. So this is link building. There is a lot of overlap between the links you build for maps and the links you build for your site for a local service business. So you're kind of killing two birds in one stone with building your citation links in a lot of ways. Getting local links makes a big difference. Doing things like what it says here, strategic content syndication, is a fancy term for doing a press release with the right stuff in it. We do this for our customers. Just doing a blog post isn't quite enough. When you can take a blog post and you can release it as a press release, get a map in there, get some links to your page, get some media in there, and blasting it out as a press release. Will also satisfy EAT because you're getting good content out there that shows your expertise. So maybe a blog post talks about the best way to pave your driveway or resurface it or seal coat it or whatever. This shows you're an expert. These press releases get published on local news sites because they just basically accept the feeds to get content. Google doesn't care, and that establishes trust too. So when you're the author of a helpful thing, kind of like Bob Vila, this makes you like Bob Vila. That's the point here. So doing stuff like that helps you rank better and gives you good links. Everybody's happy. And here's an example of one we did, press release we sent out. We do, like I said, we do this for our customers, but it's a good, like a blog post, but it's got good, rich media content. Talks about your website. It's got links back. Shows up on lots of websites. It's great. Does a great job for customers. And ultimately, it drives them back to your site to get a quote, which is what you want. So mention the SEO checklist. It's going to have some of this stuff in it. So download it if you want to work on some of the stuff yourself. That's why we publish it for you, so that you can do that. You can do that again here at pavemarketers.com/SEO checklist. No questions. That's great. So I'll remind you again, you can schedule a call with us. So go to pavemarketers.com/apply-now and schedule a call with us. We'd love to help you, or give us a phone call. Jason will pick up the phone and answer unless he's on the phone, and he can help you schedule that call with us. So if I were on time and started this right, I would thank you for joining me today. Instead, I will say thanks for watching this replay, and I hope you got some value out of it. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks again.